Okay, awesome, awesome. All right. Thank you guys so very much once again for giving me an opportunity to come and hopefully give you just a few words this year. It is certainly not something that I take lightly. You heard me last year talk to you just a little bit about the importance of establishing that positive relationship with the students. So we talked about relationship, relevance, and the rigor. And we talked so much about that relationship piece, not a friendship, but a relationship, and how important it is for the students to know that you have their best interest at heart, and how they have to know that you're fighting for them, and that you are basically just as concerned as anyone about them being successful in that classroom. And that basically if that positive relationship is not established, then the likelihood of them being successful, it greatly diminishes. And so that has to be that first step. And so we spend a lot of time on the relationship piece and the relationship component. So today we want to transition from the relationship piece. We're going to believe that everyone understands the importance of it, especially coming from a lot of the backgrounds and a lot of the scenarios that we talked about. We're going to understand. We're going to basically believe that everyone has an appreciation for that, and so we're going to move and we're going to transition to the relevance piece. And so the relevance piece is really important as well. And so if you don't remember anything else today about the relevance piece, I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that if you can't reach me, you can't teach me. Okay, and I want that to resonate, and I want that to just really sink in, that if you can't reach me, you can't teach me. Okay, I know that there are always outliers, there are always exceptions, there are always students who are going to walk into your classroom, and regardless, they're going to get it. But those are, as I said, those are the ones who are basically walking into the buildings in your classroom in sponge mode. But many times, many of the students that we have to deal with on a daily basis, that's not the majority of the students. The majority of the students, we basically have to find innovative ways to reach them and to connect with them. And this is what you have to do. If you are the subject matter expert, and you are, then you have to be able to convince them of the relevance of what it is that you're teaching them. You have to be able to teach them, you have to be able to convince them of the relevance of it, in addition to just passing a test. Okay, why do I need to learn this so you can get out of my class, so that you can pass? No, it's so much deeper than that. It is so much deeper than that. You have to be able to convince them that what it is that you're trying to get across to them, what it is that you're trying to convey, is somehow going to benefit them even after they leave your classroom. And so many instances where when you have students who are walking into your classroom from a lot of the different scenarios that we have discussed, a lot of the different socioeconomic backgrounds. They're coming from poverty. They're coming from a lot of the neighborhood situations. They're coming from a lot of those different struggles. So they're walking into your classroom, and a lot of times we don't take those things into consideration. We sit down, we have them sit down, and we think that they're going to automatically have an appreciation for the relevance of what it is that we're trying to instill in them, and that is not the case. We have to basically work just a little bit harder to ensure that they understand the relevance of what it is that we're trying to get across to them. One of the things that I saw many years ago, this is year 25 for me in the realm of education, and one of the things many years ago, one of the high schools that I thought was absolutely profound, and this dealt with the academy concept. And I looked at it, and the gains that the students received from the academy concept, it was absolutely amazing. But the when you look at the underlying cause of these gains, it really boiled down to nothing more than the relevance of what it was that the teachers was teaching to them. So basically what happened and what took place was this. Had a large comprehensive high school, and this particular high school had roughly around 1,500 students. And so these 1,500 students were all given surveys. they were given interest surveys, and these interest surveys basically it dealt with different careers, and the students basically listed on the careers, okay, this is what I would like to do. And so the school was basically divided based upon those career choices that the students basically listed, okay, this is what I like. And so the school was divided based upon those choices in 4 different areas. And so those 4 different areas became the 4 academies for the school. So then those students then, when they enrolled into school, this was a full year. This was a full year of professional development for the teachers, of the surveys, and all these things took place. Had consultants coming in, and they went through the training and all this for the teachers. And so that next year, all of the students, based upon their particular interests, they were all placed in those particular academies. So if a student said that he or she wanted to be a firefighter, they were placed in, or law enforcement, they were placed in the leadership academy. If a student said that they wanted to be a teacher, they were placed in the education academy. So you had a business academy. You had all these different academies, and the students were placed in these academies, and the teachers were assigned to these different academies. So then you had math, English, science, and social studies that was taught. They were taught in all of these different academies. So then when the student is sitting in the classroom, and math is being taught to the student, and the teacher is teaching math, because business is my interest, well, the teacher is not teaching business from a standpoint that is outside of this particular choice or this particular career choice, but because business is my interest, the teacher is teaching the same standards, but she is teaching it from a standpoint or from a perspective of business. So for those individuals and for those students who were over in another academy, let's say leadership, well, those teachers then, when they were teaching math, they were teaching the same standards, but the standards that they were teaching standards that related to leadership. So everyone was teaching the same standards, and it was the same with English, it was the same with science, and it was the same with history. They were bringing in areas. Why? Because these were the things that interest the students. And so when you can find something that ties in and that actually serves as a hook, and it interests the students, now you are one step closer. You are one step closer, because it's no longer foreign to the student. So now you actually have the student's attention. And so the student comes in your classroom, and the student sits down, and it's not that the teacher is just talking and the student is just listening to something foreign. The student comes in and sits down, and it's something that the student wants to listen to, because it is something that interests him. How much more gain would you receive from your students if you took just a couple of additional minutes to learn the students in your classroom, to learn their different interests in your classroom, and to say, okay, what is it that you would like to be? What is it that you would like to be? Yes, it would take a couple of additional minutes, and to find out all of their different interests, so that when you start teaching the particular subject matters, now you're able to make it relevant to them while you're teaching it to them. Okay, you said you wanted to be this particular career choice when you grow up. Okay, now the subject matter that we're working on, this is how it would apply in that particular area. Now the student understands just a little bit more, and now it is not as foreign to them when you're teaching it to them. For me, the shows when I was growing up, there were a lot of different ones. There were a lot of difference. A lot of my classmates, they were crazy about the Cosby Show growing up. They loved the Cosby Show. I could not relate to the Cosby Show. Having a mom and a dad, you talking about doctors and lawyers and all that. I could not relate to that, but I absolutely love Sanford and Son. Living, basically paycheck to paycheck, and the place in which they live is considered by many as a dump, and they're kind of barely getting by and just kind of living from week to week. I can associate with that. So then, if you don't understand where your students are coming from, you might find yourself teaching from a standpoint of the Cosby Show and trying to get that across to your students, and your students are looking, because the only thing that they understand or the frame of reference that they have is actually Sanford and Son. So then they are missing the boat. But if you take a few minutes and understand where they're coming from, you understand where they're coming from. Why? Because you've already established that relationship with them. You're already talking to them, and they're talking to you, and you are able to converse. And so now you are able to understand it. So now you're able to tie it in, and instead of using examples that they are unable to relate to, you can use examples that they are able to relate to and still get the content matter, the subject matter across to them. And that is that relevance piece. And that relevance piece is so very important to the student success. We have here a house. I know I'm not the best artist. Don't laugh at me, Ms. Edwards. But we have here a little house. This here is the foundation. And the foundation of this particular house, this is the foundation is the relationship. The foundation is relationship. The house itself is the relevance. The house itself is the relevance. The roof is the rigor. The first step has to be here. I know we all want to get here, because we're saying that the rigor, this is where the test scores are. This is where state accountability rests. This is where we have to be as a system. This is where the state report card is. I know, but guys, there's no earthly way in order for us to build this house. There is no earthly way for us to go out there and say, this is what we're going to do. In the middle of the air, we're going to start building a roof without a house and without a foundation. We have to start down here. Many times the mistake that we make as educators is that we try to do this. We start from the top up, and we make this number one, and we try to make this number two, and then we try to make this number three, if anything. But we have to be very careful when we reverse the order. We must start with the relationship piece, and then we have to go to the relevance. And then we have to make certain that we're doing all of these things to ensure that we are making that classroom come alive when the students come inside. Find out your students' interests. Find out what's going on. And you guys, you are, and I'm not just blowing smoke when I say that you are indeed the subject matter experts. You are the subject matter experts, and you have to be able to get across to them whatever it is that you're trying to get across to them. Find out what they like, find out what they're interested in, and you can actually make it come alive for them. You can make it come alive. Well, what is it that you're interested in? You want to be what? You want to be a basketball player? Okay, you want to be a basketball player. So talk about the free throw line. Talk about the free throw line. Talk about the basketball court. So when you're working out math problems and you're talking about area, when you're talking about area, put it in terms of the basketball court and make it come alive to them. Make it come alive to them. When you're talking about the radius, make it come alive to them. When you're talking about circumference, make it come alive to them. When you talk about them going for the jump ball, make it come alive to them. What is it that you would like? You say you would like to be a rapper? You say you would like to be a rapper? Talk to me about being a rapper. Make it come alive to them. I had an eighth grade teacher by the name of Carol Dukes. And you've heard the story. I really didn't want a whole lot to do with school and what was going on, but I enjoyed a rap song or two when I did go to class and tried to do just a little work. I did enjoy a rap song or two, but Miss Duke said, go ahead and just do something that you would like to do. I said, anything that I would like to do? Yes, anything that you would like to do, but this science fair project has to be completed. Anything that I would like to do? Yes, anything that you would like to do, but you're going to have to present it. What about a rap? Yes, you can even do, I can even do a rap. Yes, you can even do a rap. I got one of my buddies, and I know you guys have never heard of beatboxing. And I know that's before your time. I got one of my buddies, and he started, and he was doing the beatboxing, and here I am. Oh, I see that, Miss Garrett. Here I am. You know, sit back. I'm 8th grade. Don't want anything to do with the book, but because she made it relevant to me, and because it was something that I liked, here I am. Sit back, relax. Check out our looks as we try to take you through this easy science book. Here I am getting up in front of everybody. Didn't want anything to do with work, making D's and F's. Sit back, relax, check out our looks as we try to take you through this easy science book where hardness is a property that I know well because I lift 500 pounds on my friend's barbells, lifting lots of weights, keep my body intact. That is not a boast, that is a scientific fact. Then my buddy, he would come in and he would give me some more of the beatbox. Then I would come back in because we had to insert, one of the rules was we had to insert all of these vocabulary words. We had to put it in our song or whatever it is that we were doing. And so here I am, I'm putting all these words in. And so I'm going, I had to drink carrot juice as a strengthening potion because it takes a force to put an object in motion. You can move your body or just listen to a beat because all forms of energy can be changed to heat. A transverse wave moves up and down like your people body rocking to my high-tech sound. The heel of a wave is called the crest. Like me, Renzo D, my beat is fresh. So I didn't want anything to do with science. But because she made it relevant to me and gave me a little freedom, didn't know any of those words before that, but here I am about 30 years later, and I still remember all of them, even though I wish I could forget them. Guys, when they come into your classroom, if you would just somehow make it relevant to them, I promise you they will remember it, and it will stick with them, and it will come alive to them. If you will establish that positive relationship, you're a step closer to your goal. And if you can go beyond that and you can convince them of the relevance that somehow what it is that you're trying to get across to them is going to benefit them in the long run, oh wow. Guys, when you start talking about a step closer to your goal, guys, you are almost there. You are almost there. You are almost at the point then of success. Then the rigor then is that much easier. The rigor then is that much easier. Now when I'm sitting down and taking that test, regardless of what it is that I'm taking, be it a standards-based test, a teacher-made test, one that the State Department is giving me, I'm sitting down and I'm thinking, okay, hardness is a property. Okay, you know, and I'm sitting down the heel of a wave. It's called a crest. And I'm remembering all these things. I'm remembering that a basketball court that, you know, length and width, and I'm remembering all this. I'm remembering what pi is because I'm able to relate it to the jump ball and the circle. I'm remembering what radius is, and I'm remembering all these things because somehow you made it come alive to me. So if you will make it come alive in your classroom and don't look at all 25 of those individuals in your classroom at one, but look at each one of those individuals in your classroom as individuals, guys, then the relevance will happen. And you will be successful, and more importantly, the students in your classroom will be successful. Remember that you will not be able to reach them if you cannot teach them. But if you would just reach them and get to the point where you can convince them that what you're trying to do is somehow relevant to them, even going back to their dire situation, not knowing where next meals and community mess and situations and struggles and strength, guys, they will look forward to coming to your classroom because somehow coming to your classroom becomes an escape because you have made it come alive to them. And when they walk through that threshold of your door, somehow they're able to just temporarily, for 45 or 50 minutes, somehow they're able to forget about everything else that is going on in the neighborhood. They're able to forget about all of that other stuff that is going on because you have made it come alive to them. And because you have made it come alive to them, now they're able to dream and they're able to feel and they are able to believe that, you know what, I am able to do this and I'm able to believe in myself and I'm able to accomplish this. Why? Because Miss Edwards told me that I can accomplish this. Because Miss Garrett told me that I can accomplish this. I'm able to believe and dream in this because Mr. Kirby believed in this. They taught me the Blue Jay way, and the Blue Jay way says that if I would just strive and give 100%, that I can be successful. Those things that you are instilling in them now, they will remember them and they will remember them for the rest of their lives. But you have to make it relevant to them and you have to make it come alive to them every single time that they walk through that threshold. Not look at them collectively, but look at each one of them as individuals. Remember that if you cannot reach them, that you will never be able to teach them. And the best way to be able to reach them is to somehow make it come alive to them and to show them the relevance of what it is that you're trying to get across to them. Guys, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity just to have this chance to talk to you. Guys, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Pharrams. Let's give him a hand clap, the Blue Jay way. Dr. Pharrams, I forgot to put this disclaimer out there. This meeting is being recorded, so we officially have you rapping on video, but we'll just keep it with the Blue Jays. We appreciate you, Dr. Pharrams, and we will take those words to heart. So thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. You take care. I did see the record button in the corner.
You can't pay ransom on it, though.
Yes, sir. I'll do that, sir. Do you accept Cash App?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can send it through PayPal. We use PayPal this year. You can send it through PayPal. Thank you, Dr. Pharrams.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.